morning, all of you. Today we will continue with good morning, with the history chapter, World During Modern Age. And let's come to page number 8. Page number 8. We have done the Renaissance and its effect on the people of Europe, the Industrial Revolution. So today we'll be having a look at some of the inventions of the 18th century. We have done it a little bit in the paragraph above. So just once more, we'll do the same thing again. Inventions of the 18th century. Now, we have already seen that the Industrial Revolution, it began with which industry? Iron and steel, cotton, which industry?
Ma'am, domestic.
All right. Okay, so
Ma'am,
textile
domestic also.
industry, and as a result, you know what happened? Large quantities of cotton, now they were imported from India, because you know from here they could get raw cotton at very cheap prices. And you know that is what they wanted, the countries who were industrialized first. So what they wanted raw materials at cheap rates, so that they can buy it, make finished goods in their mills and factories, and then sell them again at high prices, thereby making huge profit. So that is what they wanted. So from India they could get this raw cotton at very cheap prices, and so large quantities of cotton they were imported from India. And India being their colony, so you know the people here, they were forced to sell their raw cotton to Europe, to England. Now to spin the raw cotton and to weave this thread into cloth, new machines were required. Earlier, everything was done with hand, but now with industrial revolution, so there were inventions in the field of textile also. So many inventions came up, and the first of these inventions were the flying shuttle by Kay and the spinning jenny by Hargreaves. And these two inventions helped to spin cotton very fast. Then Arkwright, he invented the water frame, and the mule of Crompton, he helped to make finer and cheaper thread. Earlier, so much time was required to do the same thing with hands. So much labor was required and so many days went into it, but now with the help of these inventions, all this could be done very fast and quick. Then Eli Whitney, he invented the cotton gin, and this helped to separate seeds from the cotton 300 times faster by hand. Now, if any one of you have seen the raw cotton flower, have you seen raw cotton?
Yes,
There
ma'am.
are small, small
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
small
Yes,
seeds
ma'am.
in it also.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So, earlier what happened, they had to remove these seeds by hand. But now, with cotton gin, what happened, they could separate the seeds from this cotton, raw cotton, 300 times faster than by hand. So, all this improved the efficiency, the efficacy. And so now he was the first to use mass production methods in his arms factory. So Eli Whitney was the first one to use this. Then the invention which symbolizes the industrial revolution, means you can say the symbol of industrial revolution, that was the steam engine of James Watt. And now it could be used in any kind of machine. So this steam engine, this new technology, it could be used in any of the industries or the factories which they had at that time. And then later on, Cartwright, he also made power loom, and this power loom could run on James Watt steam engine. And so cotton cloth could be woven much faster from the threads on this power loom. Then in 1814, George Stephenson, he made the first locomotive rocket, and this he did using the steam engine. And with this, began the large scale construction of railroads, and this improved the transportation of people from one place to another. Then not only transportation of people, but also goods from one place to another. Now, improved macadamized road and canal system made travel cheaper. Earlier roads were what you call as kacha roads, mud and only small pebbles on the road. But with new technology, now they could have these solid pakka metal roads that we call them today. So they could have that. And with that, travel was also made cheaper earlier, because there were so many problems traveling, so travel was quite costly. But now with all this new technology, travel also became cheaper. And then in 19th century, telegraph and telephone, they helped to improve communications. Then the blast furnace, it helped to process iron to steel, and this it could, and which could in turn produce better machines. So with the help of new technology, blast furnace, it helped. Now they could easily convert iron to steel, and this steel helped in the production of better machines. Then there was also revolution in agriculture sector. And now, earlier everything was manual, but now they had new farm machinery. And so earlier they had the steel plow, you all know. Earlier they used to use bulls and oxen for plowing the fields. And manually
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
they
ma'am.
had
Yes,
to
ma'am.
drive them. And but now, they had steel plow. And earlier, many times people, those who did not have a proper plow, they used to break the ground with just one single they had that thing, and with that they broke the ground. Then, they many times they used oxen and all also. But with the invention of new machines, all this was made much easier. And so now they had the steel plow and the mechanical drill. Then during this time, different new sea routes were also discovered. And now this led to a growth of trade. Earlier trade was only land, through land. But now with the invention of, sorry, with the discovery of new seaways, new different sea routes, so now through sea routes also they could take their goods from one place to another easily. Earlier, only those places which were connected through land, they could take their goods only till their those places, all right. And only the few sea routes that they knew. But now new sea routes were discovered, so they could take their goods, they could take their things, commodities, even to different places. And so factories, big machines, steam and electric power, now they began to be used for the production of goods. Earlier it was all manual, but now steam power and even electrical power later on, it began to be used in the factories and mills. And so all now these factories and mills, then they replace the old cottage and village industries. And the handiwork of handwork and manual labor, now they were substituted by mechanical production. Means earlier each step of the production was done by hand, but now each step of the production process, they have different small inventions which increase the efficiency also, increase the output also. Okay, so all this helped in the industrial revolution. And all these changes, they took place during the industrial revolution. Now we many times say that industrial revolution, it led to imperialism. And we have already done imperialism. Now what was imperialism? Taken from the Latin word imperium, which means power. And what is imperialism? It basically means that you extend a powerful country, extending its political and economic control over a weaker country. So a powerful country, it will take over, it can wage war, and by force it can bring the weaker country under its control, and they will rule over that weaker country. And then all the economic resources, money, wealth would come under their hands. So that was basically imperialism. So what we normally say that industrialization, it led to imperialism and colonization. Why? Because with the rise of industrial revolution, there was a demand for raw materials, and not only cheap raw materials, but also they needed markets where they can sell their finished goods. And so this led to colonialism. They went to different parts of the country, and they invaded other countries, they conquered other countries, and controlled them politically and economically. So now what happened? If they are controlling, if they are governing another country, then what will happen? They have total control, they can make the rules. All right, so what they did, they could easily sell the raw materials from that country to their country at very cheap prices. And like what happened in India, what Britain did, they took raw materials from here at very cheap rates, sent them to Britain, and again brought the finished goods back to Indian market, and then sold them here, and thus they even destroyed the Indian textile industry here in India. So that is what happened. Now, why Asia and Africa were quite easily conquered? So let's have a look at that. The conditions that favored imperialism in India and Africa. Okay. First, lack of industrial revolution. Now, industrial revolution came late in these countries as compared to the European countries. Industrial revolution came first in Britain, then rest of Europe, and later on to the other countries of the world. Okay, so these countries of Asia and Africa, they were very backward. So industrial revolution came in very late. Then they were also military wise, they were weak, and so because they were military wise weak, so they could not face the powerful weapons of these advanced countries. Then absence of strong nation states. Now strong nation states, like a state having a proper boundary and unified governance over a particular place. Now that was not here in India, not in Asia and Africa at that time. As you know, what happened during that time, India itself was divided into so many small kingdoms. And we have studied about the northern kingdoms and the southern kingdoms, and northern kingdom also was not just one whole kingdom. So many different kings and dynasties and rulers were ruling at the same time, in north also as well as in south. And we know that most of the time, these different kingdoms and territories, they were fighting against each other. So there was no unity, though all of them were living under one territorial boundary called India, but still there was no unity. They were always fighting, and there was no spirit of oneness. So nation states.
Video is paused. Yes, ma'am, your video is paused.
Okay, it will become better. Maybe I think some network issues here. Don't worry, it will be okay for in a while. You can hear me well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So video will become okay in a while, but you listen to me during that time. I can see the connectivity, the signal is gone down a bit. That is why maybe you are not able to see my video. Okay, so we move on. The fourth point is absence of middle class. With the growth of trade and commerce, a new middle class, it emerged in European countries, and this middle class, it led to various revolutions, and it motivated the people to face challenges and problems. But this middle class was missing in Asia and Africa. This middle class, earlier there were just two classes, the upper class and the lower class. But then what happened with this industrial revolution, a new class emerged, which was the business class, the class of educated people and all. And now this middle class was missing in Asia and in Asia and Africa. And so this was also one of the reasons that favored imperialism in India and Africa. Okay, so we'll move on, and we'll have a look at some of the consequences of the industrial revolution. When we talk about industrial revolution, it seems that it was all Good, good, good. But then there are certain pros and there are certain cons. So let's have a look at what were the consequences of the Industrial Revolution. Now, first we'll have a look at the economic consequences. Now, Industrial Revolution, it led to a decline of feudalism. We have already discussed about feudalism. Now, feudalism was a system in which, like the king, uh, under the king, we had the nobles, the lords, and under in Europe this was the system, and under the lords we had knights, KNIGHTS, and then under them we have the peasants. Now what happened, the king, if he was the nobles also, the king and the nobles and the aristocratic class, the higher classes, the ruling classes, they already had lands of their own. And then these kings and these lords, they for them the knights fought, means there was a group of people who made the king proud, and they fought very valiantly for their lords in military battles and all that. So a third group emerged which was called as knights, and so they were also given lands many times, as you could say, if you fight for a king and you fight very very valiantly with your soldiers, so the king and the nobles, they used to grant lands. And then the last rung was the peasants, and these peasants, they worked on the lands of their lords, or on the lands of the aristocratic classes. And in return for working on their lands, they had to provide them with their services. They also had to work on their land, and they also had to work in their houses and in their bungalows. And then I told you that these people, these peasants, they were discriminated, not exactly, they were not discriminated, they were exploited, that would be the correct word. So they were exploited by their feudal lords. And we have already studied that during that time what happened, the upper classes, they were in many places exempted from paying taxes. Only the lower classes paid taxes. So the lower classes, they only paid taxes, though they did not have much money, but they were the people who were only paying taxes. And then they had to pay these dues to the feudal lords also. Then they had to work in their fields, and then whenever they called, then they had to even fight for them. So what basically happened, that they were totally and entirely dependent for their living on these lords, and in turn they were exploited by these feudal lords. So that was feudalism. And now Industrial Revolution, it led to a decline, means it led to that now from after Industrial Revolution, feudalism, it began to decline, to slowly come to an end. Then farmers, as a result of Industrial Revolution, farmers, they were turned into landless laborers. Earlier they were working on the lands of their lords and all that, and now feudalism was not there. So what happened, the lands they were working on, now they did not even have those. All right. And only very big farmers and all, they owned lands. Otherwise the rest of the peasants, they worked on the lands of their lords and on the lands of the nobles. So with Industrial Revolution, what happened, farmers, now they became landless laborers. They were laborers without any land, and they also became unemployed. And as a result, you have to survive, you need to earn your livelihood. So what happened, many were forced to go to the cities in search of work. When in the village area, when in the villages, when in the countryside, they were not able to get any work, because now they did not have their lands. So where will they work? So now they were forced to go to the cities in search of work, so that they can earn their livelihood. And the result of this was that the cities, they became overcrowded, and now all these people coming from villages, they also were living in the cities. And so there were problems of housing, sanitation and health in the cities also. Then this Industrial Revolution, it led to capitalism. Now what is capitalism? It is basically an economical system where the means of production, land, capital means money, land, labor, all right, raw materials, all are controlled by private individuals. Okay, in today's time, tell me the names of few capitalists. Can you tell me the name of few capitalists? Yes, private big businessmen. Come on, class.
Ma'am, Ambani.
Yes, correct.
Tata. Ma'am, Adani.
Adani. Yes, okay.
Ma'am, Tata
Ambani,
Birla.
Adani.
Tata Birla. Tata.
So
Ma'am,
you
Arvind
know.
Desai.
Okay. So you know these. Who are these people? They are not the government. Are they the government?
No, ma'am.
No.
No,
They
ma'am. No,
they
ma'am.
are private individuals, those who have lots and lots of money, those who have made lots and lots of money, and you know they control the means of production also, and also the means of distribution. You produce and then you distribute the goods to the people. And in, you know, under capitalism, the main thing is that the main motive of all this capitalism is profit. Does Mukesh Ambani do all this for the welfare or just for social service?
No, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Why is he doing it all? Just to make more profit, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But
Yes,
you know,
ma'am.
when the government, they undertake any project, so with what aim they do it? Now they do it to provide services to the people at cheaper rates. You know, that is why government hospitals are cheap as compared to private hospitals, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So that is why,
Yes,
you know,
ma'am.
the services which are provided, even the fees in government school as compared to private schools.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes,
that
ma'am.
that is the difference. And so industrialization or industrial revolution, it led to capitalism, where the main motive was the profit. Then social. Now as a result of industrial revolution, in society also there were new changes and two new classes emerged. Now the fact, those who owned the factories or the capitalists, they came to be known as haves. Means those who had money and lands and everything. So they were those who were called as haves, and they were rich and they controlled money. And you know, the capitalists, they became richer and richer and more prosperous. They lived luxurious lives and comfortable lives, whereas the other class, which was called as the workers, we are talking about what consequences were there because of industrial revolution. Now industrial revolution, a new class emerged which was called as the factory workers or the workers, and these were the have-nots. Now you know, the capitalists, they made money because of these factory workers only, because they were working. So they were working hard, you know, they had to work for very long hours, very long shifts, and then they were even not paid enough. Why? Because all the profit was going into the pocket of the capitalist or the factory owner. So as a result, what happened, that the condition of the workers, it became worse, and they were made to work for very long hours, they were paid very less, and the workers, because of that, they led really miserable lives, and only that much salary, you know, what we call as hand to mouth. Whatever you earn, you are only able to somehow survive for that particular month. And they lived in slums. Now slums are, you know, substandard houses, not proper housing system. Substandard houses where, you know, drainage and sanitation and water supply and all that is not very good. So they are substandard houses. We'll complete this political consequences also, and then we'll end here. Okay, now what were the political consequences of industrial revolution? Now this demand for raw materials and markets, um, like I told you, they needed raw materials, and when you finish them in your, like if we take textile industry, you first need raw cotton. So for that also you need new lands, and then you finish a cotton cloth, and then now you have to set that cloth also. So you needed places from where you could get this raw cotton at cheap prices, and also markets where you can sell your finished products. All right, so this led to an increase in sea voyages, and this in turn led to the discovery of new lands, and this led to the colonialism of Asian, African, and some of the Central American countries. Now, what is colonialism? We have already done it. What basically means that when a country, it loses its independence and it is controlled by another country. And now basically what it means that the country is politically and economically controlled by another country. Like, India was a British colony. So what it means that were we independent under Britain?
No, ma'am.
No,
No,
ma'am.
we were not independent. So, Indians, we lost our independence and we were being ruled by another country. And so, politically and economically, we were under the control of a different country. Now, the countries which were first to establish colonies in various parts of the world were Portugal, England, Holland, France, and Spain. And now the colonial masters, they received more power because now they were in control of. Just imagine, Britain is such a small country, right? And they were controlling India. Even if only India, they were controlling other colonies also. Just imagine such a huge country they were controlling. So how many resources and money and wealth came to them, right? So these colonial masters, they became more powerful, and this led to the, power and wealth are two things that people strive for, and they are ready to go to any lengths for that. And so because colonial masters, they became so powerful, so wealthy, so it further led to the growth of imperialism. Then the socio-economic life of the people changed in Europe and the colonies, and as a result, the social life and the economic life of the people changed at both places, in the ruler countries also and in the slave countries also. The ruling country, they became more powerful, more wealthy, whereas the ruled country, they lost all power over their own country and they became poor, right? Okay. Now, later, what happened? Because of industrial revolution, a new system emerged which was called as socialism. Now, and this socialism, it became very popular among the workers. Now, what was socialism? It was, you could say, just the opposite of capitalism. In capitalism, wealth, all means of production are controlled by few very rich people. But socialism, what happened? All the means of production and distribution, they are owned by the state, by the government, you could say. All right, by the government or the state, and then the profit is equally shared by all. Now this was done so that even the workers, those who are really working hard, they could also get some benefit from their own hard work. So socialism emerged as a result of this industrial revolution. Okay, so for today we will stop here. Have you all understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, beta.
Ma'am, what is the meaning of water frame and mule of Crompton?
Beta, these are some of the inventions, some of the small means, when you produce cotton, so so many things are, the process is very long, from raw cotton. You have to first sort the raw cotton according to its quality, and then it has to be made into thread, then the thread has to be woven into cloth, and then again there are few more processes, that cloth has to be dyed or printed and all that. So all these are basically some of the inventions which help in the various processes under textile industry.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, beta.
Ma'am, what is the meaning of blast furnace?
Blast furnace. So what we'll do, if you want to discuss about all these few of the terms here, so that we can do in the next class when we meet, because we are already over time today. Okay, so when we meet next time, we will discuss this also, blast furnace, and what Ahana said. So we will discuss that. Otherwise, you all will be late for your class, next class. So we will do this next time we meet. Is that okay, all of you?
Yes,
Okay, ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.